Hello everyone and welcome to Fractions and Dividing on the Screencast. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't watched the screencast on multiplication of fractions, then I'd highly recommend you going to watch that first, but you can kind of pick it up straight away on this one as well, but it's just a little bit more difficult if you haven't watched that one already. So we've covered this in other screencasts, but what are fractions? It's just an easy way of representing often something that's less than 1, but not always. The top number tells us that of the number we have of something, the bottom number expresses the size that we have. The bigger the number, the smaller size. We've gone through this before. I'm not going to bore you. If you haven't watched adding and subtracting, then you have, well, you could possibly do this in any order that you want, but it would make it easier. Basically what I'm trying to say is, at the moment we've got 1/3 of a pizza, but if I make these into sixths, then you can see each slice of the pizza gets smaller, and if we only had 1/6 of that, then obviously we've got a problem. But when we're multiplying and dividing, we don't actually have to worry about that too much, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's look at the important information that we need. Whenever we do these, we're going to keep, flip, change. It's very similar to KFC, okay? Now, I love KFC. Delicious, absolute delicious. And that is the reason why I use it. Most teachers don't use this. They use it a different way around, but never fails me that my students always seem to remember, oh, KFC, I remember that. So what we have is we have a fraction that we keep, we have a fraction that we flip, and we have a symbol that we change. And we're going to go over these really simply and really quickly today. So again, if you haven't done the screencast on multiplication, I highly recommend you watching that. This will make a little bit more sense. But all we're going to do on this first one is we're going to keep the first fraction. We're going to flip the second fraction and we're going to change a symbol. So let's do that now. 1/4 will be 1/4 because we're going to keep it. We're going to flip this back fraction, so it'll be 3/2. And then we're going to change the symbol. Now, with multiplication, all we do is we times the top and we times the bottom. Now, there are different things that we can do with fractions when it comes to timesing, and I've gone through all of those on the other screencast, but very simply for this, that's the process we're going to go through. So it's 1 times 3 equals 3, and 4 times 2 gives us 8. And that fraction is in its simplest form, so we would leave it like that. Okay, so for the next one, I will do one more with you, and then I'm going to let you loose on the rest of the questions. So the first one is we're going to keep 2/5. We're going to flip 2/1, and we're going to change to a time symbol. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. And that is it. That's simply how easy it is. You have to remember KFC. You need to remember when to apply it. It's ridiculously easy. People go into fractions and they find it really difficult, but there's no need to find it difficult. It's just hard when you're using fractions across and the rules change across all the different, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So give these next two a go. I'll put out your little fraction things for you to help me a little bit later. Give them all a go, come back and see if you've got them correct. So here we go on the first one. We're going to keep, we're going to flip, and we're going to change. 3 times 7 is 21. 8 times 1 is 8. On the last one here, we've got 2 6, which we're keeping, we're flipping, and we're changing. So 2 times 2 is 4. 6 times 1 is 6. This is divisible by 2. So we end up with 2/3 as our answer. If you put 4 6 and you left it there, you're still correct, but if it says in your test to simplify, make sure that you do. So we're going on to now the last group of questions. I would like you to do all of these, please, and then come back and see if you've got them correct. But very simply, I'm sure you'll do an amazing job and they will all be correct. Pause the video now, give it a go, come back and see. So for the first one, it's 1 half, and we're changing this around, or flipping this, and we're changing this. So we've got 4/6. I think we've actually just done that question over leaf. I do apologise. They're both divisible by 2. So we end up with 2/3. The next one is going to be keep, flip, change. So I've got 4/5. Keep, flip, and change. So I've got my 3 times 14, and that gives me 42. And that's going to be over top of 7 times 1, which gives me 7. And we need to work out whether or not that is in its simplest form. So we need to think, is there anything divisible that we can use underneath? And the answer is, if we work that all the way through, 42 divided by 7 equals 6 whole. Okay, 6 wholes. So therefore, you need to know your times out. If you left it at 42 over 7, that's also absolutely fine for today. So on the last one, we've got 2/3. We're keeping, we're flipping, and we're changing. So I'm going to have 30 over 6. And we should know that 30 divided by 6 gives us 5. But again, if you left it as 30 over 6, then you're also okay for today, because you're using the skills today. Just remember to always try and cancel down. It is now time for the quiz. I'm sure you'll do absolutely amazing. Give everything a go. Come back and see if you've got it correct. And away we go, everyone. Hopefully you've had some time to do that. Here are the answers. We're going to go through each stage at a time. So you can see that I've kept, I've flipped, and I've changed. I end up with 3 over 3, which is 1. On the next one, I've kept, I've flipped, I've changed, and I end up with 8 over 8, which is 1. On the next one, I've kept, I've flipped, I've changed, and I end up with 7 over 6, which is 1 and 1/6. And last but not least, I've kept, I've flipped, I've changed, and end up with 7 over 4, or 1 3/4. Remember, if you're getting these at the moment, it's absolutely fine. If you haven't watched how to convert top heavy fractions into mixed numbers, then that's also fine. You can go and watch those videos at a later date. Hopefully you've done absolutely fantastic. I'm sure you have. Write a revision card on these questions, one easy, one medium, one hard. That's really difficult because they're all easy. They're all the same, aren't they? If we've got to convert the fraction at the other end, that might be a little bit more difficult. But anyway, I'm sure you've done great. Until next time, it's been a pleasure helping you guys and girls with your maths today. Enjoy.